Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. I'm here with Nikki. We've just had a hit. We've been testing strings, prototype strings in the works.
Yep.
We're giving opinions and consultations as we do sometimes. And it's always interesting with strings. You have personal preferences. What kind of strings do you like normally? What's like your go-to strings?
Generally, I tend to like strings that hold tension and hold the ball well. So kind of, the 4G, Lynx Tour, Hyper G as well. So there's a little bit of movement, but they tend to grip the ball better. There's just because I like rackets that are maybe on the more flexible side. So I like that the ball is like holds well on the string bed.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, maybe if you play with you can play a little bit more reverse where you have more sort of dynamic strings. But it always comes down to personal preference. So I always, even when I'm testing rackets, I look out for the things that I like as well.
And usually we see we've talked about this before, but you can see it in different colorways. So for example, we tested a lighter string, a white string today, and I've been testing that for like a few days.
Yeah.
And the whiter strings usually drop tension quickly, and you don't get quite the same bite usually on the ball. That's my opinion.
No, that's true. The whiter strings tend to be softer. The paint is, because even these days, so when you have the same string in 4 different colors, the properties of those strings are quite different because just the color pigment itself changes the end product of the string, if that makes sense. So like you can have the same, let's say, base fundamentals of the string, and then you put blue in one and red in the other.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same, they're going to play differently. So companies actually have to alter the properties of strings in order to kind of take care of the different colors.
Yeah.
Which people don't know. Like that's why it's not that easy to do strings in different colors the same, because that's why, for example, now Alu Power comes in 4 different colors or whatever, and everybody still plays with the silver one.
Yeah.
Because it's different to the purple one, different to the black one, different to the red one. So that is something to be aware of if you try a string and you like it. Even though they might do it in another color, it might be the same, but it might also be a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, you see with Polytor Pro, for example, like the yellow one has a completely different property than the black one. And like even with Alu Power, like the silver one is very popular.
Yeah.
They released the black one, and I think most people would say that that's a bit stiffer generally, and not as popular. It's not like a string that people start playing with as regularly as they do with Alu Power.
No, exactly. And I mean, let's say the black one would, for a lot of people would probably fit the racket nicer, would look better, looks good, but it doesn't play the same. So that is definitely something to think about when you're testing strings.
Yeah. And usually, like the darker the color, the firmer the string. That's something, a rule of thumb to have. Like if you have a very green, yellow, or orange string, they're usually quite lively. They move a bit more. They maybe drop tension a little bit faster, but they're also a little bit softer. So
do you think that's done? Do you think that's down to the colors, or do you think that's just conscious or subconscious by the companies that like light colors associate with like liveliness, and darker colors are a bit more like?
That's a very, very good question. Maybe they did it like that on purpose. So it's like black color, you should have more control, and now we have a little bit like
like color by association, like subconscious association.
That makes sense actually. Maybe.
I don't know if they're that clever or think that much, but
I don't think they are that clever. Sorry, racket companies. So we tried different strings today. We tried black. We tried Eco string, which I mean, many Eco strings are coming out now, and Eco can be different things. We tried a velocity catalyst, which is something you can put like in the landfill, and in 5 years it will be gone. Then they also have the strings from Luxlon, Eco Rough, Eco Power, where the string is made from like 90% PET bottles. And I think this is I don't know too much about these strings. It's kind of blind testing in a way, and the feedback will be given, and then we see what colors and stuff we go for. But the Eco strings overall can play really nice, but they seem to have a shorter lifespan overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think perhaps because of the raw products or the raw materials that go into them, they aren't as dynamic, or they can't, they don't hold tension as well. So they tend to drop tension pretty fast, and because of that, don't hold the ball in the string bed as well as non-Eco strings.
Yep.
But the Eco string we tried today was actually very nice for a very short period of time.
Yep.
It was good, and it was soft, it was lively, and then suddenly it just went woof.
Yep, I noticed that.
And I
played with it had been played 1 hour before you tried it. And in the first hour, it played really nicely. I think first hour and a half to 2 maybe.
Yep.
But then when we were into the second hour, it's like it starts dropping, and that's too quick. For most advanced players, that's too quick.
It's a little bit fast.
If you don't hit that hard, maybe, or if you don't put so much work on the ball, I think you can be fine. But the string we liked the most was a gray string that was kind of the deadest string. It had decent grab and was not too stiff. I didn't feel like my arm was in any
not at all.
pain of this string.
No.
You felt like the black string was a little bit stiffer, and you felt like
it was too stiff. There was too much vibration for it, and for me, I don't want to, like, if already in the first few balls I feel it harsh, I know it's, if you play with it for a long time, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say also when you're testing strings, always go with like kind of your gut feeling.
Yeah.
If you pick one up and you're like, oh, this is nice, then it's probably going to be the one that you're going to end up liking, you know. So you know,
same like rackets. Like the first
Yeah.
impressions are important because you're not going to kind of grow to like it if you hate it from the beginning.
No.
Like you need to have some kind of liking to it.
Exactly. Yeah, and obviously when testing strings, it's ideal if you have the same racket with the same specs.
Yeah. Which we did. So
which
I
we
mean,
did,
like I had
yep.
two different ones of these, but also you're playing with the ISO 98.
Yep. So these. Yeah.
And those two are same specs, so we could really, and we put the same tension. Your
Yep.
tension is similar to mine, 24 kilos mains and 23 kilos crosses,
Yep.
and that's 53 pounds, 51. 3 and 51, yeah. Yes, that's 100% right. So that's important as well. Like you cannot have too many variables. If you test a string in a new racket, it's obviously not easy to know what's what.
No,
It's just
no,
a
no,
racket.
exactly. If you like the racket or you like the string or no, you know, neither. So it's always good to try and have the same. And then you have to, because of the tension drop, you need to try it for a couple of days because
Yeah.
maybe the first hit's great, but then you realize, like we did, that after the second day or the second hour or third hour, that suddenly the tension drops, or maybe it breaks really fast, or maybe it gives you arm pain after.
Yeah.
You know, so it is. You can't just test it for hit with it for 10 minutes. Oh, I like this, and then change. So you should go with your gut feeling, but also put a little bit of time just to know that it is the right choice.
That's generally good with everything. Like I mean, you always get to a honeymoon period with rackets as well, where you feel like, oh, this is the racket for me. I'm going to buy 4 rackets, and then 1 month later you're losing matches that you should win, you think, and then like you start doubting the racket and give it more time, you know, because otherwise you don't know what you're doing maybe. So yeah, interesting test. Good to get your opinions.
Yeah.
Keen to hear you guys in the comments. What strings do you like and why? Do you like shape string? I mean, now there's so many different shapes. I mean, you have, triangular strings. You can have 6-sided, 8-sided, and 8 sides on a string is very close to rounds, right? So then it becomes almost like funny. And then the cube, which is probably my least favorite, maybe 4-sided.
It's like there's a rectangular one that was it Head that made that or someone? I think it was Head that made
Maybe,
it. Like
yeah.
was it called was it Gravit? No. They had a hybrid set.
Yeah. That was said. Like it was the Gravity hybrid. I think it was before they even released the Gravity rackets.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
I don't like cube-shaped strings in general, and also like to string them is.
Yeah, I'm personally against anyway rough strings. I don't really feel that there's much impact of the roughness on the playability of them.
Yeah.
Other than by making them rough, it can change like the properties, but it's not the roughness that grips the ball more.
No.
You know, it's not that the racket is more angular, so therefore it grips onto the ball more. It's not, it's generally down to the actual properties of the string themselves. So, and because I string rackets, then I prefer smooth round strings.
Yeah, that's easier. And also, I don't think it's very easy to overthink the spin potential. You're like, oh, if it doesn't have 6 sides, I mean, it does make a little bit of difference, but round strings can also pocket the ball and have good snapback. So it's it's not like that round string is not going to give you spin. Look at all the other power users out there, we blast the ball, right? So I don't overthink that. Also, I agree with you. Like all the power off, in my opinion, is dropping tension faster and it's less nice to play with than regular auto power.
Yeah, because I might be wrong, but I think when it came out, I was told that it was basically a thicker alu power that is then, is then basically clamped to make the roughness.
So
maybe not anymore. So don't quote me on that. If anybody knows,
but
if anybody knows
that
the
would
answer,
make some
write in
sense.
the comments. But I think that's how because it wasn't a shape. It was like like if you put it through the jaws badly of a string machine, it was kind of had that texture. So I think it was a thicker string coming out, and then as it was extruded, it was basically like crumpled.
Could be. As like a pro stringer guy, like how important is the stringing compared to this like string? Does the stringer make a big difference?
Yes, especially. More consistency more than anything else. Obviously, so the main impact that obviously a good stringer can have is more than anything is the tension maintenance. So a very good stringer, if the racket's strung by a very good stringer, the tension maintenance of the racket should be much better than of a poor stringer. Like somebody or less experienced stringer will string and then straighten all the strings. It feels great to start with, and then after an hour the tension drops, and that'd be because when you're stringing, the strings aren't as straight as they should be, or various other things, or you haven't clamped them properly, whatever.
You're putting more pressure on the string than is needed.
Exactly.
Right?
So more than anything, I think the biggest impact good stringers can have is the tension maintenance, and therefore also the durability of the string.
Yep.
We don't really, very rare that you get random breakages on the edges, or from clamping, or from poor knotting, stuff like that. So that's kind of the biggest difference between, you know, average stringers to very good stringers, is that consistency, and also knowing that every time you string the racket comes out the same tension every single time. So it's always down to consistency, but yeah, that tension maintenance is kind of the biggest key noticeable difference between an average string and a poor stringer.
I completely agree, and I think that's important. Like, so it's important to trust if you're a serious player or you want to play competitions, whatever, on whatever level. And if you watch this video, you're probably a serious player about your gear, at least. I think it makes sense to trust your stringer. Like,
yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, also why. You know, for those of you that do string yourselves, then try to become as good at stringing as you can, because then it will actually impact either your own strings, your own rackets, your durability, your own rackets, all for your clients. So, you know, that's why, like, a lot of people think they can string good, but there's a difference between okay, good, and then very good, because it's just like I said, just those little fine details make a difference of a long term, especially if you know, string a lot of rackets for a lot of people, then you just bring it up. You know, the level, and for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I decided to put in more time on my stringing because I have a good machine now at home. So to really improve the stringing, because it's gonna make a difference on how these rackets play.
Yeah, exactly, and it makes testing strings better, and trying strings better. It means that you know that every time you test the string, it's going to be strung the same way. So it's, you know, so you're always reducing variables and like improving the consistency.
Yeah, so that's important. Good point. All right, so that was the string test. More to come about the strings and other string reviews and so on. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Thanks, Nikki, for joining.
Pleasure.
A nice hit. You were playing really well today. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a nice day, and
don't forget to play some tennis.